Welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of the Fantasy Variation. This week we have our Week 6 preview. Coming at you on a Tuesday night instead of a Wednesday night this week for the recording, so might not have a full segment of the stuff we usually have since some of the stuff hasn't been released for this week. We're still giving you another episode of our fantasy predictions. I'm joined, as always, by Colin this week. No special guest this time, but that's all right. We'll power through. Colin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm all right. Colts had a tough loss against the Jags. We haven't won a game there since like 2015, 2016. Then the fantasy team lost too. But you know what? It's a new week. We're coming back. We're gonna be all right. So, how you doing?
Pretty good right now, but Lions probably had one of the tougher bye weeks in recent memory. We didn't play, so couldn't get a win, but Vikings, Packers, and Bears all decided they were going to win this week. So we actually fell behind half a game, I guess, to everyone by not playing, which kind of sucks. But back in the day, the Lions, we used to love bye weeks because that meant we couldn't lose, but now we hate them because we can't win. So I guess that's always a positive for us.
Yeah, that's tough. What the Bears are 3-2, so are the Packers too. Like everyone's above 500.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, hey, I expected it to be a good fight in the division, but man, I did not see the Minnesota Vikings being 5-0. I did not have that on my bingo card for this season.
It won't last. Don't worry. You'll be all right.
I sure hope not, man. But their defense has been performing, and they don't even really have like a plethora of players that I even know the name of. So it seems to be a pretty useful formula that they got going over there.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Lions are too good. That offense is too loaded. So I don't know if they were. If at least you're not the Colts. 2-3, no quarterback, no defense.
Hey, don't sleep on Joe Flacco now. He's gonna resurrect the franchise and Michael Pittman.
There we go. And he's dealing to Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is the man. We're all good.
Alec Pierce is the only guy that could produce with Anthony Richardson.
True. Oh, man.
All right. Well, like I said at the beginning, we got a little bit of a shortened episode. We won't have any best bets this week, which may be for the best because pretty tough record. Tough week for me last week. Colin was able to pick up one, though, so not as bad for him. They just don't have a lot of player props out right now, so we're going to go ahead and skip over that. And maybe the hiatus will get us back on the right track. And then no love hates either this week. We got a lot to recap from last week since Cole was on here last time, but ESPN usually doesn't drop their weekly rankings until Wednesday morning or Wednesday around lunch. So we won't be able to do any of those this week, but we still got plenty of stuff coming at you this episode. And I think we can go ahead and just start off by recapping our games. Colin, you want to start with yours? You want me to go first?
I'll get the loss out of the way. It's all right. So this week the Ironheads took home the dub. Congrats to Zach. He didn't chirp me. I was kind of surprised that he didn't chirp me or send me anything, but kudos to him. Burrow dropped like 34 on me. Derrick Henry 16. I mean, he got like a good 20 points in the last like 5 minutes of that game. So that was tough. I was also on the Bengals money line. So that was a brutal game to watch for me. But Jaden Daniels got the job done, still putting up great numbers. Drake London had an insane game. And then George Kittle as well. Other than that, the rest of my team pretty much shit the bed. Denver D was my fourth leading scorer with 15 points. So we'll take it. But yeah, looking ahead, I mean, Breece Hall, I don't even know what's going on with him. Really disappointing. Then Jerome Ford's just not getting the job done. Cleveland's offense is horrible. Marv, I feel like is kind of touchdown dependent. I mean, he's so hit or miss. Like this week he had 2 catches for 36 yards, probably like, let me see, 7 targets. I mean, 7 targets isn't horrible, but for your second round pick, definitely not what you want to see. On the other side, I am excited about Tank Dell. Tank Dell should be getting better numbers with Nico Collins out. And then Tank Bigsby, watch out. Could he take over that backfield? I don't know. ETN's still a guy that I like that's super talented. But Tank Bigsby on my bench went off. So maybe in the future he could be putting up numbers. I get David Montgomery back this week. So hopefully get a bounce back week. We got Ron, who's 5-0. He's due for a loss. So we'll see what happens.
Wow, what a great way to think about it. Due for a loss instead of just saying he's a good team. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Breece Hall either. Just really hasn't been efficient on the ground this year. And it's a little scary when they got a guy like Braylon Allen behind him that's shown that he's very good as well. So I don't know if Breece Hall will ever hit that first round, even first overall ceiling that we talked about in the first episode, which I didn't think we'd be saying only a month into the year. A guy you talked about, Tank Dell, he should be stepping up here in the next couple weeks. You're going to get both your Lions players back this week coming off a bye, so that'll be huge for you. And then Drake London, you got to love what you saw out of him. I don't think you mentioned him. Big game on Thursday night. Sorry, Ron. He must have heard the hate that Cole was spewing about him, and then he had a blow-up game on Thursday night, and it didn't even take him long to get going. I think he scored a touchdown on their first drive, maybe second drive. So, big game out of him. He almost clawed you back into this one all by himself along with the Broncos defense.
Yeah, Drake London heard the Ron hate. He was ready for it. First drive, he was getting after it. So
yeah, and I just want to say too, shout out to the Ironheads. I don't think we really talked about his team last episode when we were talking about teams that might be sleepers kind of climbing up the leaderboard as we get into the later part of the year. But man, if Tua can come back soon, he's got Tyreek Hill, which is huge. And now with Rashee Rice likely to be out for the year, at least for the regular season, it looks like they're still being kind of wishy-washy on the whole thing, which is a little annoying. I just want to know he's out for the year so I can drop him for sure. But what I was saying for Zach is that Kelsey's going to be huge, it looks like, in Rashee Rice's absence, which is no surprise. And then Malik Neighbors coming off a concussion too. So his team is going to be a lot more stacked than it looked just a couple weeks ago. So I think Ironheads are probably a team to look out for that we maybe didn't talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking at his team again. Like you mentioned, I mean, I'm kind of surprised we didn't even mention his much. I mean, like, to all your points, I mean, holy crap, he's definitely scary. And I mean, even Burrow too. He's putting up really good numbers for as bad as they are. I mean, yeah, you could say their season might be over. I don't know. Some Bengals fans will probably say that, but I mean, they're still going to be slinging the rock. And yeah, to your point, I mean, Kelsey will be a beast with Tyreek Hill coming with. If they get a quarterback, that'll be good for Colin too. Jalen Watt will come back, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Zach's on a 3-game winning streak. And then I also saw Riley is on a 3-game winning streak. Both those guys. Now Zach started 0-2, and then Riley started 1-1. But Kioski's 3-2, and Riley's 4-1. So,
yep, a couple teams definitely on the rise. Speaking of teams on the rise, let's talk about Cup of Rice here. Hopefully getting some guys back from injury here soon. This week we got Debo back. I think this was, or did he play last week? No, he played last week. Sorry. This was his second game back. First game where I expected him to be kind of full go, and he totally crapped the bed on me with only 3 points. But we were still able to pick up the win. Dean's team just really not super strong at the moment with McCaffrey and Puka out, though we could talk about the trade a little bit after I talk about my game. Big trade with those two guys heading over to Ron. But yeah, like I said, Dean's team just not really putting up a ton of points. Alec Pierce catching a couple bombs along with DJ Moore were really, really making me nervous during the 1 o'clock slate. All my guys actually played later. I don't think I had a single player play in the 1 o'clock slate, which is pretty crazy. But the boys played pretty well. Kyler had a huge game that was boosted by his 50, I think, yard touchdown run in the first quarter. So that was pretty awesome to see. I was talking about how he wasn't using his legs last episode. So it was good to see him finally have one of those explosive run plays I've been waiting for. Kenneth Walker and Kareem Hunt gave me much more at the running back position than I've been able to get in recent weeks. Walker was absolutely putrid on the ground against the Giants, and they fell behind pretty early. So he found his way into the receiving game a little bit this game, which was good to see, that Zach Charbonnet wasn't just totally taking all those away. And then Kareem Hunt seems to have this role on lock, and he was one of my loves last week, so glad to see him perform. Justin Jefferson did his thing. Tucker Kraft, I mean, great waiver pickup. I really just picked him up because I didn't want Dean to start him over Noah Gray because I had a feeling he might have a big game with Dobbs and Watson both not playing. So he showed out. Jake Ferguson, solid game. Dontavion Wicks, very, very disappointing after spending 33 fab on him, but I still got some faith in him for the rest of the year. This offense is going to be pretty good, so I'm happy with that. Glad I squeaked out a win here. Not a great week by any means, but we'll certainly take it. And I just want to say a quick shout out to Noah Gray and Samaje Perine. Our matchup last night was, I think we were separated by maybe a point, and I just needed Hunt to outscore those two. And there was one drive. I don't know if you were watching the first half. I didn't watch the second half, but they had a drive where Noah Gray scored, and it got called back for a hold. And then Patrick Mahomes had Pirine wide open in the end zone and just missed him. So dodged 2 bullets within like 3 plays to pull this one out. I think I still would have gotten it if one of those had converted by a couple points, but yeah, it was definitely more of a sweat than I'd hoped this week.
I wasn't following it, or I probably didn't start watching until maybe like the second quarter. Was it the drive that Hunt scored on? I think Hunt may have scored the first drive.
No, it was they kicked a field goal. The Pirine.
I gotcha. I was gonna say that would have been a massive swing, and you probably would have lost there. But that's pretty big. How do you feel about a name change? Cup of Rice. Both those guys are injured. What do you think about that?
We might need one. We might just have to pay homage to our boy Rashee Rice. Maybe not a great guy off the field, but he was a heck of a guy in our locker room. So we might just have to pay our respects to him being out for the year.
There we go. What about this for you? Are you gonna go with the 3 tight end system this week?
That's another thing I was gonna bring up. Yeah, this week we're currently starting 3 tight ends. I didn't start McBride last week. He had a concussion, and then he picked up like a rib injury late in the week. And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable starting him when I got 2 guys that I'm happy to throw in my lineup. My team has a lot of buys now this week, which has made things quite a bit worse at the flex position. So unless someone gives me a good offer for a tight end, I think I might just roll with 3 of them. The only guy that I can really plug in, I feel like, is Rico Dowdle, which he might find his way into my lineup, but I don't really have any other options at the moment on my team, and I don't think I really love anyone on the waiver wire either.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think you might be the first person to ever have a 3 tight end system. So we'll wish you good luck there. Hope it works out for the best of you. Yeah, keep on squeezing those wins out while your team's beat up. Those are some big wins.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, if I can have 5 wins through 10 weeks, I will be thrilled. I think this team is built for the postseason. We just gotta get a berth.
Definitely. Well, real quick, I know we mentioned. Do you want to talk about our predictions at the beginning of the season, real quick?
Yeah.
So I guess I can start off. It's not looking good at all. We got Breece Hall at Offensive Player of the Year. I could pretty much cash that out for 0 profit right now. I mean, I am not going to win that. And then I had Josh Allen as over 33,750 passing yards. He's averaging like 188. He needed to average like 220 over 17 games, and that's assuming he plays all 17 games. So unless things significantly change, that's another loss by me. And then I had some like honorable mentions with like Trey McBride over 4.5 touchdowns. He like got the 1 fumble in the end zone that I don't even think counts as a touchdown. So that's not looking good. He's got 0. Colts over 8.5 wins. I still believe. I'll believe him. But not looking too good. And then I had a player prop parlay that involved Isaiah Pacheco over rushing yards. So that's pretty much toast. So how about you? How you looking on your preseason?
Best bets. Well, let's start with Jared Goff MVP. That was the one I feel like was a bit of a stretch, and actually I put in $5 on it, and it's now worth $5.02. So far I think we're on the right track. We got a lot of dome games left. Jared Goff just got to keep producing. I mean, he's coming off a 18 for 18 performance with the receiving touchdown. So I don't know. I don't know what other quarterbacks in the league are doing that. So
Goff like MVP numbers to me.
Yeah, if the Lions can win, I'm not saying it's likely, but if they win 13, 14 games, like I said, I still think it's very much a possibility. Waddle over 5.5 touchdowns. All I wrote here is pain. Rip Tua, we really need you back. I don't know if it's in his best interest to come back, but for this bet, it's not going to hit without him. And then my last one was the Chiefs to win the AFC West and the Eagles to win the NFC East in a parlay. Chiefs, I wasn't ever worried about them. They're 5-0 now. So as long as number 15 is healthy, I think that part's going to be fine. The Eagles defense has been very, very disappointing this year. I'm really hoping they can bounce back in future weeks, but I just don't know. I thought there was going to be some improvement in the secondary and the linebacking group, and it just really hasn't come to fruition. And the main problem, I guess, has been, other than their receivers missing a few games, the main problem for this bet has just been the Commanders. I didn't ever see them coming. They came out of left field to take the lead in this division. So if Jaden Daniels keeps balling like he is, this is probably going to be a miss.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I gotta think that the Commanders will cool off a little bit, but I mean, Jaden Daniels has just been so sweet. Obviously a guy I really like, seeing as he's on my fantasy team. But yeah, they've been really impressive. And I definitely think that they're gonna give the Eagles a run for their money. That's one thing that I don't think I ever talked about. I did make a couple other bets at the beginning of the season, and one of them was the Eagles to, I can't remember if it was make the playoffs or win their division. I might have them on both. So I'm a little scared there with you. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. What about bold predictions? I think we made a handful of those at the beginning of the year. How we looking on those?
Let me see what else I said. I said Jerome Ford finishes the top 15 running back. Not totally out of it. I mean, just with the running back position, but not looking good. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to finish as top 10 wide receivers. Count that one out. Thanks a lot, Tua. And then we got Richardson and Murray to both finish as top 3 QBs. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, seeing as Richardson's missing time. We didn't have it on here, but I do think I said Mahomes would finish like outside of the top 10 or something like that, and that's looking pretty good. So we'll count down one as a looking okay for now.
Yes, I can confirm that was said at some point.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, as for mine, we do have one that's looking really good. Michael Pittman finishing outside the top 20 wide receivers. Right now, he's 49th in points per game and 38th overall. The only problem, like I said earlier, is Flacco. He might save this guy from being outside the top 20 wide receivers. So we'll see what the Colts do and if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. A lot of moving parts there, but as of right now, that one's looking good. And speaking of one that is not looking good, Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley to both finish outside the top 6. Saquon is currently first in points per game, and Jonathan Taylor is 6th. I'm looking at points per game because he missed one, so I don't think it's really fair to count the injury. But they're still 3-11 overall, with both of them not playing one of the games since the Eagles were just on a bye. So, yeah, I did not expect Saquon Barkley to be this good. I think a lot of what I said was true. I just didn't really account for the fact that he's just going to rip off some crazy long runs that are just going to happen because he's so good. He's better than Miles Sanders. He's better than DeAndre Swift. And that went without saying, but I really just don't think I fully took into account how much better he is than those guys.
Definitely.
And then my last one here, kind of tough to grade, with Isaiah Pacheco finishing as a top 3 running back and him getting hurt in the second week. He was 13th in points per game with only 1 touchdown. So I feel like we were on a pretty good track. Hopefully when he comes back, he can play a handful more games and we get a better sample size to see where he finishes in terms of points per game and see if he's still close to that top 3 RB spot. But with Kareem Hunt looking pretty good, especially last night against the Saints, we'll see if he can even regain his full role once he comes back.
Definitely. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is supposed to come back too. Not that I'm worried about him, but just another guy in that backfield that who knows what's going to happen. I think Kareem Hunt's pretty safe there where he's at right now. So that was a real good pickup by you.
Yeah, I only got him for $1. I wasted like 24 on Carson Steele. I should have just took Kareem Hunt and lived with that.
Dang.
And as for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as Mike Tomlin once said, we do not care.
Fair. I like it. Oh man. Well, enough of those. I guess do you want to start recapping best bets and our love hates from last week?
Yep. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just go through mine. I'll be quick here on the best bets. I'm glad we got a little bit of a hiatus coming up from these. It's been rough, man.
We might need it.
Both these in particular were really rough. I watched the first 3 quarters or so of Thursday Night Football, so I didn't end up watching the end of it. But Kirk Cousins throwing for 509 yards was not on my bingo card. I think that was I think it was the 15th most yards ever thrown in a game. So that's a little unfortunate when you run into that, especially for a guy that's notorious for playing down on primetime games. And the Buccaneers were up. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they had to have been up double digits at some point in this game, and then they completely stalled out in the second half. So that one was kind of rough since they got out to such a good start. And then the Colts too. I mean, dude, their defense is so bad. And the one thing that I really want to point to from this one for why it was so rough is right before halftime. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. They were about to kick a field goal. Like they were certainly in field goal range. Flacco has a dude coming right at him, not even on his blind side from the right tackle, does not see him at all, gets blown up. Jaguars pick it up, take it into field goal range, 6-point swing, and the Colts lose by 3. So that one was brutal as well. But you called it, man. I don't know if you said it on the podcast or before, but the spread was always the play. Plus 3.5 would have hit. So I shouldn't have been too greedy and just went in on the spread.
Yeah, it was tough. I don't want to bring up, or I don't want to talk too much about the Colts. That game was brutal. I know exactly what you're talking about. The curse, man, it's real. Cannot win in Jacksonville. So we'll move on from those. I think it'll be good to take a break from the best bets. We'll reassess, and then we'll come back with a few winners for you guys. So
Exactly.
Quick recap from mine. We went back to the Thursday night game, running back receiving yards with Bijan Robinson. You know, you would have thought that with Kirk throwing for a record 509 yards, that Bijan would have hit, I think it was like 25.5. You thought wrong. He finished with 16. So we're gonna take that off the list. We're gonna ban all Thursday night running backs receiving yards from now on as best bets because back-to-back weeks get crushed. I don't have anything more to say on that one. Then the other one that did hit, Matthew Stafford over, I think I had like 225. And he hit that relatively easy. He finished with 260. So pretty happy about that one. But yeah, no best bets for this week. We'll come back next week.
Yep. And I think you said ban running back bets on Thursday night. I was talking with my mom earlier, and she's like, why do you even do Thursday night bets? Because you release the episode after Thursday night football. And I'm like, you're so right. We got to stop doing Thursday night bets. They must just be
that's on me.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess for love hates too, since we don't have any this week, I'll go over mine. The big hit of this week on mine was Kareem Hunt. Running backs were like insanely terrible this week. So he scored 18.7 and it was good for the RB5, which is kind of insane that like nobody hit 20 points. I think there were maybe like 2 running backs that hit 20 points, even in PPR. So good game for Hunt still, but maybe it wouldn't have been that high on a typical week. Maybe we were just missing a lot of guys like Saquon, J.K. Dobbins, I know off the top of my head. And yeah, David Montgomery too, man. He was definitely scoring over 18.7. So
yeah.
And then some misses as well this week. The big miss was certainly Amari Cooper, and he had 10 points for the wide receiver 44. And I don't even know if you can even play this guy anymore. I mean, against the Commanders, that's literally a dream scenario. Not only that, Commanders, and you're down the whole game and you only finish with 10 points. Like I just don't even know if you can play him anymore. And it kind of sucks. I didn't end up with him personally, but I was high on him this year for where he was going in drafts. I thought Riley got a steal. I think he's the guy who has him, which would probably check out considering his fandom. And then CJ Stroud, I thought he was going to crush this QB9 ranking early in the game when he hit that bomb, which that celebration was so cold. But yeah, second half, their offense just completely stalled out, and they almost handed this one to the Bills, who just didn't look good this game. And Josh Allen missed at least a drive or two with possible concussion, but seems like he's okay. Stroud finished with 16.9 as the QB 15, so I thought that one was going to crush, but ended up finishing a little bit below where he was in the rankings.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was watching that Texans game. I'm always rooting for CJ, except when he plays the Colts. But yeah, I mean that second half was brutal. I thought I bet on the Texans, so I was sweating that one with the Bills coming back. But I guess we'll go on my end. So I had loving Josh Jacobs at 15. He finished 10th. He scored 1 TD. I think I mentioned that it would be hopefully ideally a high scoring. It didn't even hit the over, but I was hoping that he'd have multiple red zone opportunities. He got in once, finished his 10, so it's kind of a win there, I guess. Then the second one, loved Brian Thomas at 30. He finished as wide receiver 8. Tore up the Colts. So that's definitely a win. And then I said I loved Antonio Gibson at 37, and he finished at 40. So that one, we're gonna take that one as a loss. So
Hey, he almost hit, man.
he almost did, but not quite. Beating
Yeah.
B37 I thought was going to be easy, but Ramondre Stevenson got pissed off that he got benched and went off. I think he scored a first touchdown on one of their first drives. So it is what it is.
Yeah, classic case of the coach just blatantly lying about what they're doing.
Right.
Tough in there. And I guess we have some from Cole last week too. Drake London, we will just kind of skip over that one as he finished as the wide receiver 2 on Thursday night. We already talked about that one a little bit. But Chuba Hubbard was a big hit. What was he at when he loved him? I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I would imagine probably 20 to 25 maybe.
Shoot, I deleted it.
No, maybe higher. He was probably
I think he was probably in the teens.
Yeah, 15 to 20 would be my guess.
Yeah, my bad. I deleted it off here, but he finished as RB8, so he crushed it regardless with 17.5. And then Christian Kirk was kind of in the middle. I think he was like 28, 29, somewhere in that range. 33. So it seemed like Brian Thomas was kind of just the guy to have in that offense in particular. And he had that big play too, which Christian Kirk, you're never really going to get that. It's more of you either need a lot of receptions or him to get that slant touchdown near the end zone.
Definitely. And I'll give credit to Cole too. He said he liked both the Jags wide receivers, and he went with Kirk because I had Thomas too, but he was also on Brian Thomas there. So
what a credit.
Give credit when credit is due. All right. Well, very good. So I guess do you want to start or move into our start sits this week?
Yep. I can take it away with our first one here.
Awesome.
I got Jameson Williams, my guy, on the Lions. Love him. Great player. He's going against Dallas this week, and I like him over Jerome Ford, who's playing against the Eagles. First of all, and I feel like a broken record saying the same thing, but Detroit games, I just like players playing in them, not because I'm a fan, but because the over-unders are always so high. They're tied for the highest over-under of the week at 52.5, which would be the highest probably by a mile if the Ravens-Commanders game didn't exist. And then kind of just from a matchup perspective, I feel like everyone always thinks of the Cowboys having good cornerbacks like Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland too, who had that crazy year last year with all the pick sixes. But I just see them as guys who are playmakers rather than lockdown corners. They're certainly prone to giving up those big plays. And I could definitely see a guy like Jameson Williams sneaking past them for a deep ball or two. So that's why I'm pretty high on him this week. And then I also had written down that Dallas right now is number 9 against wide receivers this year, which might be kind of scary looking at it, but they've had really 3 easy matchups thus far. I can't think of them off the top of my head now, but one of them was the Browns for sure. So they definitely had in the Steelers last Sunday, they've had some really easy matchups. So I feel like their stats are a little inflated there. So when they go up against an offense like the Lions, I think they could certainly smash against a defense that's also down Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So they could be in a little bit of trouble against the Lions. And if they put up big points, I expect JMO to go off.
Definitely. No, what I was going to say, so they shut down the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns. So, when you think about that, it's okay, none of those teams are really, really insane, deep threats or pass threats, I guess. You could kind of say Lamar and the Ravens, but the Browns and Steelers, probably not too worried about it. But really why I'm fading Jameson Williams is I'm just hoping he doesn't give up or he doesn't get a bomb. Like you said, Eagles have surprisingly been pretty good against the pass. Granted the teams they've played haven't been that good. But why I'm taking Ford is the Eagles actually give up the 11th most rushing yards per game. Seen pretty good games from guys like Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, and even Bijan. I know Bijan's a really good or a big name, but Bijan has not performed that well this year. Is Deonta Foreman a concern? A little bit. And is the Browns offense a concern? Absolutely. I'm hoping they bring in Jameis. It's time to move on from Deshaun Watson. We'll see what happens. But yeah, you could look at this and say say this is a little bit of a negative game script playing the Eagles, but I'm gonna keep riding with my guy Jerome Ford. If he lets me down this week, then it might be the last time I bring his name up again. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, Jerome Ford making what is at least third appearance on these start sits. So
Oh, definitely.
we'll see if he can come through for you. And then the next one, I guess we got Javonte Williams versus Brian Thomas. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I got Brian Thomas here. I think that Brian Thomas is too hot right now to sit. The guy's been putting up insane numbers, and I think he's kind of slept on in this rookie wide receiver class. Everyone's talking about Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison, but this guy's been pretty insane, and I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to feed him. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that I really don't like much, and I think he's been really bad. And obviously I don't like him because he's in the Colts division, but I think they're going to continue to keep feeding him. And then the reason I'm fading Javonte is because the Chargers are actually the 6th best run defense. And I feel like that game will be a slow game. I mean, the Broncos offense is just not that good, and their defense is really good. So I see a lot of punts in this game and not a lot of scoring. So going with Brian Thomas over Javonte.
Yep. And yeah, I think both these guys have a really tough matchup this week. So it's kind of hard to choose between these two guys. I'm really scared about Brian Thomas going up against the Bears because of Jalen Johnson. He's such a good cornerback, and man, I forget if I screenshotted this picture of his stats from earlier this year. Let me look. Yeah, okay. So far this season, he has 17 targets in 5 games. He has 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, and a 33 passer rating when targeted.
Wow.
And I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be on Brian Thomas, since Christian Kirk sees a lot of those slot snaps, and a lot of teams are probably just viewing Brian Thomas as the one right now with how good he's been playing. So I think that could be a big concern for him. I'm not saying he can't put up a decent game, because he's probably got a better floor than Javonte Williams, but I'd really be scared for his ceiling, because I don't know if he's going to have like one of those blow up games against a guy like Jalen Johnson. And then as for my guy Javonte Williams, like I said, not a great matchup against the Chargers. They've been pretty good this year on defense, which has been a huge step up for them from last year. But I think Javonte's really started to take over the main role in this offense, when earlier this year it really didn't look like if that was a given. I don't know if I've seen an update on their running back, Tyler Bidet, the guy who hurt his neck or back a couple weeks ago. So I hope he's doing okay, but he was really taking a lot of those snaps away from Javonte Williams as well as Jaleel McLaughlin. And now that we get a full game of him being out, Javonte Williams outsnapped him 63-37, and then also outtouched Jaleel McLaughlin 19-10, which included 6 targets. Or I shouldn't say outtouched, I guess, because I'm including targets in there, not necessarily catches. But he seems to be getting a lot more opportunities than McLaughlin. So I'm hoping he can just continue to carve out more of a role as the season rolls on.
Definitely. Yeah, I think this one will be a fun matchup to watch. I think if either one of these guys gets in the end zone, that'll mark it up. I don't really see both these guys, seeing as they both have tough matchups, as dropping more than 15 fantasy points. So that one should be a good one.
Yep.
Our last one, I'll let you start. We got Najee Harris or Rico Dowdle. I can't even pronounce his last name. I don't even know how. So let you take it away.
Yep, and a lot of people who have watched a few of these episodes will assume that I'm taking Najee because of Colin Tate for him, but no, I've got Rico Dowdle, and even he's playing against my team, the Lions. The Lions have a great run defense, which is going to be tough for him to get yards on the ground. And that kind of philosophy really bit me in the ass, because in another league I benched Kenneth Walker the week that he played the Lions because he was coming off an injury and going up against a tough defense, and he scored like 32. So that one was tough, and I'm trying to learn my lesson here and just not worry about how good their run defense is, and just know that this is going to be a high scoring game, and Rico Dowdle is probably going to get a lot of opportunities to score. He got, I believe, 20 carries last week to Zeke's like 5. So he's totally taken over this backfield, and I'm surprised it's even taken him this long, because Zeke has not looked good for a handful of years now. So I'm glad to see that Dowdle's really taken over that role, and I expect him to to get a couple tries at the end zone. I'm not really hoping for it because I don't want him to score on us. And then on the other side for Najee, all I wrote down is Najee sucks. He's been terrible. He had an amazing matchup not yesterday, I guess, on Sunday against the Cowboys. They've been terrible against the run. Parsons out, Lawrence out, and he still cannot score fantasy points. So I'm out on Najee, and it really sucks because at the beginning of the year, I said that was one of my favorite picks from the draft was when Tanish picked him, and I have him in a couple other leagues, but man, he's just not good at football. There's two guys that I've never heard of that were taking snaps and touches away from him because Warren and Patterson were out and he still couldn't put up points. I'm just out on him, and you probably don't need me to convince you that is the case. But let's see what you got for him.
Oh, Tommy, I'm not gonna lie. This one was tough. I do not like Najee Harris. I am totally with you. This guy sucks. But with that being said, this is tough. But Vegas does have a very bad run defense. I'm expecting the Steelers to be leading this game against the Raiders. Hopefully, knowing the Steelers, it'll probably be like a 13-10 game that they win. But either way, I'm expecting him to get opportunities. And then, like you mentioned, Detroit actually has a really good run defense, and I expect the Cowboys to be trailing this game, and I expect Dak to be throwing a lot. So that's kind of why I'm leaning Najee over Rico. But I do have a fun stat for you. One of my Twitter guys tweeted this out, I think this morning. But running backs with the most rushing attempts that have not scored a touchdown, Najee Harris leads by a wide margin at 82 carries without a touchdown. The next best is 54, and surprisingly enough, didn't catch this one. 54 is Rico. So they both lead the league in most attempts without a touchdown. But Najee 82 compared to 54 is a big one. Does that mean anything? No. But I'm gonna say he's due. He's getting in the end zone, and he's gonna take this one for me. So the one time I'm rooting for Najee, I will never do it again.
Well, this is going to be a fun one that you're picking Najee for. And I was going to say, I was surprised that Dowell hasn't scored, but both his touchdowns this year have been receiving. So,
Yep. But anyways, yeah, we got a good list here. Should be a fun one, and hopefully I can continue chomping away at your lead here. You got over me. So,
yep. Well, I mean, it's only 2 games right now, so I mean, a 3-0 week, and this could completely flip. So. Still a close battle right now.
What else we got on the agenda here?
Yep, I think we can take it into trivia, and then we can probably wrap it up. I think we probably could have recapped like the standings and some other people's games when we talked about ours, so we can hit that at the end real quick.
Awesome.
Let's go ahead and do the trivia question real quick, and let me pull up the full stats here so I can tell you about guys that you've missed. Okay. So the question that we have on tap today is we are looking for the reception leaders from last season. So 2023 reception leaders. And this is not necessarily just wide receivers. It's going to be almost all wide receivers, but don't be limited to just wide receivers.
All right. Let's go. Justin Jefferson, who did not play, actually. Did Ja'Marr Chase get hurt too?
He's the first guy off the list. And one thing I should have said too is there's 2 guys tied for 10th. So there's technically 11 guys, and Ja'Marr Chase was 12.
Okay. All right. So let's go. Puka had a good year.
Yep. Puka's at 9.
Cooper Kupp probably didn't get in there too, did he?
No, he's not on here.
Let's go. Godwin. Did Godwin get on there?
He was one of the first few off the list.
What about Mike Evans?
He was also just off the list.
All right. Hot start. Let's go. Would Devontae be on there? I'm thinking
which one?
Devontae Adams.
Yep, Adams is here he's tied for number 10.
Okay, there we go. Let's go. Who would have been good last year? I just had a bunch of guys that I forgot.
Our fantasy championship last year.
What's that?
I said,
Oh my
who
God.
won
All
our
right, so
league last year?
CeeDee Lamb,
Yep, number one.
Tyreek Hill.
Number two.
Was Waddle up there? I feel like Waddle got a lot of receptions.
He is not
Not
on
there.
here.
Okay. So you said so there's probably a running back on there. Would
All right, I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. It's not running back,
okay.
but there is a
Okay.
non-wide receiver.
All
on
right,
here.
now let's go back to wide receivers because I'm really shit in the bed there. Maybe Olave. Is Olave in there?
That's a good guess. He is also one of the first few off. He's 15th.
How many am I missing? I've got like 3, right?
You got 4 right now, so you're missing 7 if you're including that 11th guy. But that 11th guy is going to be tricky. So
Okay. How about did Debo play all last year?
yes, but he is not on here. I don't think he would have gotten enough catches.
Okay.
Too much of a running back, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Let's go DK Metcalf.
Dude, you're literally like beating around the bush here.
Oh, this is brutal.
I think you're missing 2 guys that are very near and dear to me and you, one apiece.
Okay, Amon-Ra.
Yep, number
And
3.
Is Pittman on there?
Yeah, number 5.
Pittman is there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he had 109 catches last year.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess
He's getting drafted in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do I need? Like 4 more, maybe?
Got number 4, number 6, number 7, and number 8. I'm not even going to count 11. I don't think you're going to get it.
4, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Definitely missing some bigger names.
So 2 of these guys just changed teams this offseason.
Oh, Diggs.
Years. Yep, Diggs. Number
Diggs
7.
and who just changed teams. Man, who's the other guy that just changed teams?
I'm trying to think of a hint. I wouldn't give it away.
Man, I'm terrible at these.
He has not been good this year. And he's also missed a little time.
Been bad, missed time. Jeez, man.
Plays for a division rival of mine now.
Oh, Keenan Allen.
Yep, he's at number 6.
Shoot. Keenan, dang. Okay, so two more.
All right, so you've got one like really obvious guy, and then the next 2 are going to be tricky. One of the tricky ones is a wide receiver, and one's a tight end, like we've already said.
All right. I'm gonna look at teams. So wait, tight end was Sam Laporta in there?
He's not. It's not going to be who you necessarily think, but he had a huge year last year.
Okay.
Sam Laporta was 4th among tight ends.
What about like Kittle?
No, Kittle.
This time.
He actually didn't miss time, but he only had 65 catches last year.
Interesting. All right. Who is a big name that I'm missing? Not that. I'm just looking at like the listed teams to hopefully get me going.
He also has not had
AJ Brown.
Yep, AJ Brown in there at number 8.
And then so am I just missing a tight end then?
Yeah.
Or tight end. So it's not Kelsey. What about like Goddard?
No, that's not a bad guess either, but he
Hawkinson?
missed a few games last year. Hawkinson was number 2 among tight ends. He actually might have got on this list if he didn't miss the last 2 games.
Okay. It's a crazy one. Evan Ingram.
Yep. Evan Ingram was number
Really?
4 on the year in receptions with 114.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then any other guess? Any other guesses for this last guy? He's really old and had an insane start to the year last year. He plays for a very bad team, and he's still on it. Yes, Adam Thielen was tied for 10th in receptions.
Dang.
Absolutely unreal. Yeah, this list, there's some pretty good guys on there, but definitely a lot of surprising names like Evan Engram, Adam Thielen, even AJ Brown. He's not like a huge like reception guy, so I was a little bit surprised to see him on here. So I thought it was pretty fun list to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I gotta. I'm terrible at the beginning, but once I got going, I was able. Once I got a few hits, I was able to get it. But no, good question. Those are fun.
Hey, and if we have a guest on next week, which hint, hopefully we do, you can go ahead and answer the trivia because I don't want to take two in a row where I get
all right, there we go. That's fair. Awesome. All right, so I guess to kind of wrap it up, we want to talk about the league real quick.
Yep.
League standings.
Yep. I guess for this week for the games, just to kind of say who won or whatever. Riley beat Barrett in a pretty close game, so he improved to 4-1. Barrett falls to 2-3. Elgin got a big win against Tanisha's team, who we talked about last time, who we thought could be a big sleeper team in the future here. Elgin was able to get it done. I know Jordan Mason had a pretty bad week because I have him in my dynasty league, so that was a little unfortunate to see. He probably costed me my matchup as well. And then Ron took care of business, Mr. 5-0, taking down Nichols' team. And I guess one thing I brought up at the beginning we didn't talk about was that trade that Cole and Dean made.
Yeah.
Very big, and it's probably tough to evaluate. I was talking to Elgin about it on Sunday, and at first he was kind of like, what the heck? Like, how are we letting that happen? And then the more we talked about it, it's like, I mean, you just don't know if Christian McCaffrey is going to play like the rest of the year. So it's such a risky trade for Cole. And sorry, I'm talking about it without actually saying what it was, but it was Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua for T. Higgins, Bucky Irving, and J.K. Dobbins, right?
Dobbins. Yep. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's a great trade both ways. I mean, Ron, I feel like is taking a huge risk and giving up too much there. I personally don't think McCaffrey's going to play again this year. So that's definitely a risk, but I mean, he can afford to give up all those guys. You know, his team is so deep right now, and I mean, you look at like Dobbins, like he's probably not going to keep that up. T. Higgins, I do see as being a pretty good player this year. And Bucky, like we've talked about, will hopefully take over that backfield. But I mean, you look at it, it's like Dean's team. No offense, Dean. His team is struggling right now, and he needed to make a move. He needed guys to play right now if he wanted to save his season. And then you look at Cole's end, it's like he doesn't need any of those guys. And if Puka or McCaffrey come back, that's a massive trade for him and guys that are going to be weekly starters for him. So.
Yep, I agree with you. I like the trade for both sides. It's really nice to be in a position like Cole where you can just take on risk like this, knowing that you're already going to make the playoffs. So, I mean, all he really needs probably, 7-7 is probably good enough to make the playoffs in this league. So he really only needs 2 more wins. And then if you can get Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua into your lineup come playoff time, that's amazing. And for a guy like me, I envy Cole so much because you were talking about a guy like Tank Bigsby. I think you were the one that originally picked him up, and then I think you dropped him, but then picked him up like the same week. And he was a guy I was looking at. I was like, I really want to pick him up, but I just can't. Like, I can't afford to pick up guys that like can't play right now. So it really sucks to be in that position. But shout out to Cole, man. He's in a great spot and able to take on a trade like this. So we'll see if it pans out for him, but hopefully not for the rest of us, or we're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was looking at Bixby. I added him for 13, which I probably way overpaid. Then I dropped him 2 weeks later, and then picked him up the week after for nothing. So that's pretty funny. But I mean, it's like, yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say it probably ended up working out because that's probably about what he's going to be worth this week on the waiver wire. So you spent the same amount regardless to get him. So.
Yeah, definitely. But no, so I guess kind of looking ahead too, we actually have some interesting matchups this week. So like I mentioned, I play Cole. I'm 3-2 right now on a 2-game losing streak. Playing the undefeated team. Yeah, I'm a little worried about this. Kind of need it in a big way. But hopefully we can pull out that dub. But then looking at others, we got Tanisha Nichols, 2-3 and 1-4. This is a pretty big week for both of them. Same with Dean and Barrett. Dean desperately needs a win. But then Barrett also, he doesn't want to go to 2-4. Looking at your matchup, you got 3-2 teams, you and Zach. So I mean, a win versus a loss takes you from 4-2 and 2-2. So pretty big week for both you guys. And then the last one we got Riley against Elgin. Riley's 4-1 and Elgin's 2-3. So again a big week for him. Elgin needs it a little bit more than Riley, but if Riley gets that win, he's sitting really pretty. So
yeah, and we always talk about every year how important having those first round buys are in a 16 playoff.
Definitely.
So you only end up being one win away from getting to a payout of some kind by making the championship. So yeah, those buys are crucial. And if Riley can pick up a win here, is he the only 4-1 team?
He is.
Yeah, he is. So yeah, that'd keep him one game clear of me, whoever wins me and Zach's game, and then you as well if you're able to pick up a win against Cole. So that'd be huge for him to keep that separation from the rest of us and not slip out of control of that bye.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's all I had to add. You got anything else?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, but I feel like every week's a big week for my team. We need to pick up wins wherever we can. Going up against Zach's team is going to be a lot tougher than going up against Dean. Sorry, Dean, to keep bringing it up. But yeah, hopefully we can pull through. 3 tight end setup doesn't really make me super confident, but we're going to make history by starting 3 tight ends, I think. So we'll see how it goes.
There we go. Yeah, definitely a big week. But yeah, overall big week for the fantasy league. We'll come back next week and kind of get back to our normal routine with we'll give some love hates, give some best bets, and then yeah, we might have a guest star, I should say, joining the league with us too. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next week.
And most importantly, go Tigers.